Let's see here. There we go. It's going to be so helpful. I think it's about 11 o'clock. Would you guys like me to start? Hello, Katsucon. This is probably the first panel we're all watching today, including me. I literally just got here. It's pretty awesome. It's good to see everyone. Thank you for coming. I present to you all a bit of an info hazard, if you will. I was scouring the internet. Well, actually, I was asking the question in my mind. Why are the penguins blue? There are so many. Let's go! There are so many blue penguins. You're not going to believe how many blue penguins there are in like decades of Japanese media, between video games, anime, manga, anything, even advertisements, which is insane. And it made me go insane. And I looked online, and I looked on like Reddit and like other websites and stuff and things, and even that made me insane. So, this is gonna play again. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm Katsucon. I'm Alex. Call me whatever. Call me anytime. Yeah, this panel's more or less going to be a discussion, not necessarily answer, but a discussion onto how many blue penguins there are, why are they blue, and maybe we can all learn something together. So the first question we might all be wondering, right? We're like, okay, we know the Piplups, we know the funny Vietnam penguin movie, right? We know King D, but how many, come on, Cat, there can't be that many blue penguins, right? Wrong. There's like, okay, so, right, I counted Nintendo as one property, right? So every single like thingamajig company thing counts as a singular example. There's like 38 or more. And counting, because there's been new anime this season. It's insane. And there's like half the amount of examples, from what I counted, of black penguins. And then there's just a little here and there of different colors. For example, there's like one from Pitchy Pitchy Melody. There's one from Yu Yu Hakusho, even though that one's kind of an oddity because it turns into, I haven't seen the show, I'm sorry. But it's kind of like an ostrich-looking thing when it has a second form. There's also like this like soccer anime of which there's like these manifestations of different penguins. And as seen in the picture, it's like red. So those are like one-off examples, but everything else is like blue, 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 blue. All right? So the next thing you might be wondering is like, okay, this isn't that weird, is it? It is weird. And my white whale here is trying to figure out why do penguins drum? We're gonna talk about this later. But why do Are the penguins blue? It's so weird. And there's a plenty of examples. By the way, we have to this is an awesome opening. You guys gotta watch Penguin Jump. It's an amazing anime. It's made by the same guy who made Rosa Versailles, I believe. It's 2011, so newer. Very amazing anime. I highly recommend it. Talk about it later. Okay. Alright. So, I mean, really, I'll have you know, I was watching anime, as one does, you know, and literally, I was watching Yoshi no Ko, as one does, and like, all day, I just see, like, Akane having no reason at all, no explanation, she just has a blue penguin plushie. Friggin' Spy X Family blue penguin plushie. It's a character, for God's sakes. What does it mean? Why is it blue? It's everywhere. I keep trying to put this question to bed, right? And I'm sure you all will too. But it's going to keep us all up. All right. So our next question that we're going to be wondering is, am I just gaslighting you all? Are blue penguins even real? Do we know blue penguins? Have you ever seen a blue penguin? Has anyone seen a blue penguin?
I work with them.
That's awesome! That is awesome! That is so awesome. I almost want to ask, anything in particular?
I do education at an aquarium, and we have a little blue penguin colony.
Awesome. So, as far as I understand, I'm sure you know way more than me, but those are called fairy penguins, or little penguins. And they're blue. They look like that. They're cute. They're wonderful. They are in very popular aquariums in Japan. I'm gonna later go into why it's kind of odd though. So the next thing we might be wondering, okay. I'm sure blue just makes intuitive sense, right? As a color for your average penguin. You think illustrator's gonna be thinking of like a penguin. I'm sure there's probably maybe there's just a deep-seated a deep-seated cultural phenomenon in Japan as to why they're going with blue and not anything else. So I looked. Maybe I didn't look hard enough, but I looked. I swear. Please believe me. And I looked into what each color means because they all seem to have their own meaning in Japan. So let's see. I looked on Reddit. I looked on Context, Soccer.co, stuff like that. And I looked primarily at what the color black or kudo and blue or owl means. Generally, black is, it's a traditional male color. There's a lot of black headdresses for servants in Shinto temples. It symbolizes enlightenment. Black tends to denote the color of the north. Everything's intimate and mysterious. Symbolism with death and winter. Stuff like that. Or another website suggested it's associated with mystery, formality, night, mourning, elegance, anger, evil, unhappiness, masculinity. Men will oftentimes wear black weddings. What else? Let's see. Another website says solemnity, elegance, sophistication, stuff like that. We have a vague idea. In terms of blue, it's often, one website, the websites say it's the color of ordinariness, ordinary people, symbolizes the mysterious world and all kinds of mysticism. In kabuki theater, it symbolizes often negative characters. What else? Truth, fidelity, chastity. What else? Purity, cleanliness, coolness. Another website will say the sea and sky, tranquility, depth, and dignity, calmness and serenity, stuff like that. So we have a vague idea, right? There's a few different meanings. Generally, as I started looking into these various colors, I started seeing a lot of overlapping meanings, right? And this means across colors, right? There's a certain point where I started seeing the cultural meaning for green. I'll see a few different overlapping things for blue, various other things. And there was a certain point where I just felt like a lot of these things are just kind of similar. I just didn't get a good, satisfying answer that really suggested like black is the no-go color, and I'm going to go into this a lot. And blue is the, what's the opposite of no-go? What's the opposite of no-go?
Go-go.
Go-go. Go-go! Let's go! Get your go-go on. So, a lot of these meanings, right? I think the craziest thing here is when I was looking at lucky colors, I feel like almost every color on the rainbow showed up as a lucky color. I mean, we have orange for a lucky color, we have red for a lucky color, we have yellow, we have blue, we have green. It just, I don't know. And here's the bigger point, right? It's the association with which penguins are blue in the medias, versus which penguins are not blue. So one of the craziest examples, right? There's a lot of early Konami games where you have a character named Penta, you have a character named Pentaro, and they're like, they have guns for their guns, right? And they're doing like arcade shooter games, shooting everything like down with guns, like big scary Vietnam guns and stuff like that. I'm thinking to myself, like, why is this? Why is that? Why is our little boy Penta blue, right? It seems strange. On that note, Penguin's memory. I'm going to go a lot more into what Penguin's memory is, but it's, long story short, a Vietnam movie. Like, it's literally like, it's like Rambo First Blood. It's literally like a very depressing Vietnam movie. Penguins are blue. All single penguins are blue, right? You would think it would make more sense if, formality, death, solemnity, like stuff like that. Those penguins should be black, but no, they decided upon blue. And on the other hand, you have a character that's very lighthearted. What about the Sanrio characters like Batsumaru? Why is he a black penguin instead of a blue penguin? It just, Penguin Drum's the craziest example here, because it has a lot of symbolism for extremely dark topics that I'm going to go into soon. So, another thing here is penguins in suits. Penguins looking very formal, very well dressed, looking very, very fancy. One of the first examples, Tuxedo Sam, his name is literally Tuxedo. Sam, Tuxedo. Sam, my man's blue. Why is he blue instead of black? Black like a tuxedo. It just seems odd. Penguin's memory was sponsored by the Suntory Beer Company. It seems like, black should be more popular in this case, or at least these things should be rearranged. What does it all mean? I don't get it. So then people were asking me, okay, maybe it's just about illustration. Maybe it's just easier to draw, maybe it's easier to see, maybe when we're working on manga or anime, maybe it's just easier to pop out. And that might be true for some penguins, especially our boy Tuxedo Sam. That's Tuxedo Sam. Say hi to Tuxedo Sam. He's gonna love you all back. He has those black beady little eyes. It would definitely make sense if you have a light color, to make sure you could see all of his lines, all of his colors and stuff like that. But it doesn't totally hold up with with the more common designs, right? I have a pointer. Whoa, boom! Look at that. We got the pointer. It's pointing. Okay. That penguin, he's from Penguin's memory. His name is Mike. He definitely could work as a black penguin. In terms of all of his colors and shapes, it could easily work out. Maybe I'm just, not thinking correctly. I feel like I'm an artist. I feel as if I could see him being a gray penguin or a black penguin pretty easily, right? You can see with his eyes just being so large. Then the example down here, this is Penta from Konami. As in, there's multiple Konami. He just appears in multiple Konami games throughout the 80s and 90s, even 2000s and stuff like that. Again, he definitely could work out as black. Or our boy King DDD, right? Even in some of the Game Boy games, he's without color. He is, if you will, black. Instead of blue. I know on the cover arts and stuff like that, he is blue, but you can see how he works out in other colors. So why they're blue, we don't know. So the next question you might be wondering is, maybe it's just a deep-setted thing that started with one character. Maybe it was one character who's just a superstar, right? Maybe there's just one guy who started it all. Who might be that guy? Who is it? It's your boy. It's your boy. Tuxedo Sam. It was him, wasn't it? No, it isn't. Yeah. I hate to say it, but our boy has not been that popular. It's very sad. I don't know why he's never been that popular. I think he should be number one. He's my boy. Even at my workplace, right? I have a little plushie of him at my desk, right? He's my boy, right? And you can see him. Where can you see him? You can see him right here. See? Look at that. It's so cool. So he's literally the first. He appeared in 1979. But ever since he appeared, he's never really gotten that popular. The most popular he's probably been has been 1986. So it's about 7 years after he debuted. That's probably when he was the most popular. But otherwise, you can see here, 13th place, 17th place, 19th place. I mean, there are hundreds of Sanrio characters, but for being one of the first Sanrio characters, he's not that popular. And here's what's more important, he doesn't seem like that much of a cultural trend, in my opinion. A cultural trend enough that everyone working on the design for Blue Penguin would instantly go to. And here's the worst part, right? There's another. There is another. It's the other boy. It's Bakamaru. Ever since he appeared in 1993, he's been boom, boom, thunder and lightning. He's been a top 5. He's been a top 1, right? He's been hero, number 1 multiple times. He's been top 5 constantly. He's a very popular character. He's been at sporting events, in giant advertisements. He's been in tons of merchandising. He's even been in Ready Player One. He was the guy next to Hello Kitty and Grumpy. Come on, right? So our boy, Tuxedo Sam, there's another penguin. Maybe. When I asked around, when I polled, there's a significant amount of people who suggested that Batsumaru doesn't really look like a penguin. And maybe, sometimes we get hungry around here. You're not you when you're hungry. Anyways, a lot of people look at Batsumaru and they don't get the idea of a penguin. Some people say, he kind of looks like a crow. Some people might suggest other things. But he is the most popular penguin in Sanrio. So, Tuxedo Sam is outshined. Tuxedo Sam has never been popular, and despite this, Tuxedo Sam was the first example. So maybe we could look around in the time. I'm not going to go over this. Unless, do you want me to go over this? No? Probably not. Yes? Okay. We got Tuxedo Sam, we got Sanrio, Dr. Suntory Konami, we got Penguin's Memory, we got Konami, Mr. Penman, we got Sega Yu Hakusho, Kirby, Manmaru, the Ninja Penguin, which was hard to find. We got Yoshi's Island, Ninku, we got Don Quixote, we got Echo Ice, we got Azumanga Daioh, and then we got everything in the mid-2000s and the mid-2000s. Emphasized on the mid. Anyways, maybe later there's other super popular characters, right? And the real question is here, we're going to go back to one more question. Maybe it's not that big of a deal, right? Maybe it's just a creative color. Maybe it's just something that the average character designer thinks is like, this just makes sense, right? You have plenty of characters. Let's see here. Obviously, you have King Bees, you got your Muppets. This guy is from Sleeping Princess in the been a while. I'm sorry. It's been many years. I recommend watching it. We got Pitchy Melody. We got the Penguin. We got obviously have the Pretty. We have a lot of different characters. Maybe it just pops up, right? Maybe it's just kind of character where they're like, they're at the store, right? They're at like, I don't know, the drugstore, at one of those aisles that has like the little pop-up of the toy cars, right? Next to it is the Beanie Babies, and you'll see like a variety of different, there's plenty of different colors for all these different animals, right? You'll see like, little Beanie Babies for like rainbow colors, and red, and blue, and green, and everything you think of. Maybe they just have the same thing when it comes to penguins. They're like, you know what, blue's a cool color, right?
But what if I told you things got worse?
What if I told you that reality was not as it seemed, and that reality was much stranger than fiction? What if I told you all that there are an extremely notable amount of anime where you have a character, a fictional character, within the fictional setting, right? Like this character isn't even real in the show that it's from, right? And it's just a marketable plushie or marketable character within the show. The craziest example for me, right? I was watching Card Captor stuff. I've been on a Magical Girl binge. Love my Magical Girls.
Yeah.
Shout out to Princess Tutu, by the way. That has to be my favorite. Heck yeah! Anyways, Card Captor Sakura, right? It blew my mind seeing Sakura having, she has a little blue penguin plushie at her writing desk. And then on top of that, you have this that you can see right in the middle, hold on, right here, this one. Like at the playground, she normally does her dance and tango and like fighting, I guess you could say, at. You just blue penguin slide. Why? You got, this is an even more insane example. You have Chia. We've all seen this GIF, right? It's the best GIF ever. Chia with the blue penguin onesie. Why is she blue? This was never explained. Literally, I went on the wiki. Maybe I shouldn't be going on a wiki because maybe wiki's not, but maybe it is my best resource. And maybe when I looked, I saw nothing. It just said, she wore the penguin onesie because, I don't know, in association with birds. And I'm like, that's not helpful. Like, what do you mean? It's a bird. It's a blue. That's blue. It's just strange. Why blue? Why a penguin and why blue? It's so odd. So you have all these examples, right? That are just they're blue for no reason. They have to be pointing to something, right? And it's not tuxedo sound. There has to be this common focal point that makes a lot of designers think that blue is the color to make as a penguin. And maybe you can just discard this, right? Maybe this is just all coincidence, right?
Unless what if I told you how deep this rabbit hole goes?
What if I told you there is a significant amount of characters wearing onesies of blue penguins? Look at this. We got idol shows. We got slice of life shows. We got all sorts of things. And oftentimes when this happens, like in Hyoko, last episode of it, I think episode 13, they're having a sleeping party, they're having a sleepover. They're just wearing their different onesies and stuff like that. You have various characters with random, and just one character decides to wear a blue penguin onesie. Never explained, never said, penguin is my favorite animal, or anything like that. Blue is my favorite color. Never suggested even once. You just have a bunch of characters that are just they're penguin, they're blue, this makes sense. Never black, never green, never purple, never yellow, nothing else. Why? And on top of that, when we're multiple layers deep, right? This is multiple layers deep at this point. We're in layers of deepness that should not be as deep as it should be, but it is. It do. You would think that there's a focal point, right? When we're having literal onesies, right? It's one thing to have a little plushie, right? Because there's trillions of little plushies, right? There is a stock market for Beanie Babies, right? There are so many plushies that we can't conceive of right? So it's one thing to think that that you have all these little fake mascots here and there. Maybe it's just a running gag. But it's a whole different thing to then go to a different level and cosplay as a fake mascot that's not even real and not even from like a starting point that makes sense. What are they? Where did they come from? Who are they? What is a blue? Well, we know what a blue penguin is. It's called fairy penguin. But why? Right? So then I looked even more, and there's look at it. Oh my God, that's so exhaustive. There, and I'm not even. That's probably not all the examples, right? There's so many penguins of which that are blue, and the craziest part too is that this is just a trend that just keeps going. We got a blue penguin in 2003, 2004, 2005, and 6, and 8, and 10, and 11, and 12, and 13, and 14, and 16, and 17, and 18. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. They never take a break. So these blue penguins, right? They have to be super freaking popular. But it's not Tuxedo Sam. What is it? Like, what is the one, right? And I'm out here in the field, looking for interviews, looking for Reddit posts on Reddit, looking for that's not a post, pages, right? Looking on TV tropes, our Lord and Savior, TV tropes. And I got nothing, right? No one explains why the penguins are blue. It's insane. And everything I look, and I will share various quotes soon. As to what I found of the lack of explanation for the blueness. It's insane. The most recent thing I personally saw was Yoshi no Ko. Look at that, I'm just having a nice time. I'm trying not to tweak out, right? I'm just watching my anime, and then I'm just like the meme where the guy looking at the TV's where I see Akane holding a blue penguin plushie. Why did they do this? And we might be asking ourselves, okay, so if Tuxedo Sam's not the most popular, well, surely we might talk about your boy, right? Well, I'm gonna kill the mood. We're not gonna talk about my boy. I'm sorry. Look, you want to leave because you can. I forgive you. But I really don't think Piplup is the reason. The reason why is Pokemon Diamond aired in 2006, right? Piplup's not like Munchlax or Togepi, where Piplup didn't appear earlier than that. Piplup appeared very firmly in the middle of the timeline. On top of that, right, we can see its design doesn't look like a lot of the other examples. And that just made me think, I know, Pokemon has to be the highest grossing series of video games ever. But we just don't see many things that look like Piplup, more so than King DDD or the Prinny or Tuxedo Sam or any of the other characters. Piplup's just not, it just doesn't. Maybe it is, but you can see Piplup is in the middle of it all. So, I'm sorry, I just don't think Piplup is the reason why the penguins are blue. So let's talk about someone who does have a resemblance to characters going forward. So, in 2003, there was the strategy RPG game series Disgaea, known for big numbers, right? In my opinion, when I was looking at it kind of reminded me of Fire Emblem or something like that. You just, a little chessboard, dude fighting another dude, that kind of thing, 3D looking down, that kind of stuff, right? Disgaea, big series, one of their mascots, their main mascot, is the Prinny. So a Prinny is it's a taxonomy, right? There's a lot of different types of Prinnies, A Prinny is not a penguin. I know. Looks may be deceiving. Looks may be deceiving. I'm looking for the quote specifically as to what the character designer was thinking of. It's very fascinating in my opinion. So, the Pretty was created by Takahito Murata while he was trying to come up with a character whose thoughts players could not try to envision. He began by choosing to make it animal-based, eventually deciding on making something similar to a penguin. He was told that he could use this character as much as he wanted, and by God he did. While they initially started out as looking somewhat realistic, it eventually gained a ball-like form. That's the quote. That's all it says. This is the quote. That's the quote. Why is it blue? We don't know why the blue is the penguin is the blue. We don't know, right? It's just blue, and it's always been blue, right? There's not that many other colors of pretties and stuff like that. Now, on the other hand, as we can see at the bottom of the screen, if you please turn your attention to the bottom of the screen, there are a variety of characters who come afterwards. In my opinion, the most notably is Overlord, based on its roots, a lot of its inspirations. Now, okay, back up. I looked in the wiki. That character, it's second from, I guess, the left is this would be. So his name is Claire, wonderful guy. Beautiful, wonderful guy. Hi, Sean! Sorry, he's my new. Anyways, so Claire is a wonderful character. I looked at his wiki page. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. What do you mean there's nothing there? There's absolutely nothing. There's nothing, no description as to why this character looks the way he does. And he looks very much like a pretty, in my humble opinion. But there's just nothing there. Now, Overlord is known for its references, its homages, and a lot of its, inspiration. Oftentimes the inspiration in D&D. So I was thinking, okay, this Gaia is definitely like a really number crunchery type of game. It's an RPG. You would think I could definitely see how one is inspired by the other. But there was nothing. There was no interviews. There was no character inspiration. There was nothing aside from, in my opinion, I settled on. So, so I'm sorry for this long rant over. Anyways, Prinny has the doll-like eyes, the little googly eyes, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Anyways, but it doesn't, 2003, it's definitely a popular example. I looked at a lot of interviews going forward. I looked at Penguin's Highway. That was a fascinating one for me. Let me see if I can find it. Because Penguin's Highway is very fascinating because there's actual penguins, and then there's these like plushy penguins. These like how would I describe it? Like cartoony type of penguins, right? So I got curious, at least with Penguin's Highway, to see if there was a connection to the Prinny, to see if that connection was there. So I looked at the quote for Penguin's Highway. And then I just so happened to be watching a documentary on TV about penguins, and I discovered that the path that the penguins walk along is called a penguin highway, hence the name of the movie. I found it a very interesting phrase for starters, and it stimulated my imagination and thought, that's the title. So the title came before the actual story. What else? Also, penguins live in the Antarctic, and the story is about Ayana seeking out the edges of the world, and forest penguins live at the end of the world. So I thought they would be appropriate creatures for Ayana's story. Tomihiko Morimi. By the way, shout out to Penguin's Highway. It made me cry. It made me cry twice, right? And it'll make you cry as well. So watch it. Watch Penguin's Highway. I recommend it. Good movie. Anyways, there's no mention of of a connection to the Prinny. So I don't know. Maybe there's the connection to the Prinny. Maybe it's a deep-setted thing. We don't know. I don't know. The Prinny, it doesn't scream. There's no interview or post or anything like that saying, yes, this character was inspired by the Prinny. So I don't think the Prinny is why the penguins are blue. So we gotta get bigger. We gotta think hard. guys, let's start thinking. Let's start putting on, we already have been thinking, putting on our thinking caps. We've been thinking. Well, let's do some double thinking, right? Let's do some thinking cubed. Let's go worldwide. Heck yeah. Okay. So what do we got? We got a penguin that was after Tuxedo Sam. So that already rules things out, right? And on top of that, it was also later than the Centauri beer, which I'm going to just one moment. Also after the Centauri beer, penguins, right? So there's a movie, it's called Scamper the Penguin. It's kind of disturbing, I'm not gonna lie, because the penguins, spoilers, they die. I'm sorry for spoiling you, but like, it's been since 1986. Come on, you should have seen it at this point. I've never even seen this movie. I've never even heard this movie until like recently. I'm like telling you, y'all should have watched it already. Come on, guys. Yeah, I haven't seen it. What the heck? Anyways, so it was a joint effort between the Japan and the Russia, or I guess the Soviet Union at that point, but close enough. It was never that popular. It did release in the United States, and thankfully, they cut out certain disturbing parts. So if you want to watch it there and not get jump scared by scary things, then you can watch it in English. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like, in my humble opinion, it didn't seem to be super popular, especially not popular enough to be, the reason why the penguins are blue. So what about other reasons? What about other games? Spyro, the guy, Sergeant Bird, look at that beautiful penguin right there, he's blue. More like a cyan, but close enough. I mean, I don't discriminate. There's no other penguin that looks like it, right? And on top of that, he's from 2000, so that doesn't really count. We even got, the Club Penguins, Shout out to Club Penguin, by the way. Heck yeah! Yeah! So that was in the 2000s, and on top of the real, I'm about to let you down twice, right? It was one thing of me, I'm sorry if you guys leave because of this, right? It's one thing of me to let you down because of the Piplup, because of the Piplup controversy featuring me. But there's a second controversy. I saw a video, not a video essay, but a video of the original designer of the Club Penguin models, right? And it was a fascinating process. I would definitely recommend looking up, how he came up with everything. And I was very curious to see if he was, inspired by, the Centauri beer penguins, or Penguin's Memory, which is connected. No. In the 20 minutes that he had to bring up a Penguin's Memory, this movie. Anyways, Club Penguin never connected the two. They look identical. I mean, look, you can see the bottom of the page. We can see those penguins. Everyone calls it, oh, look at that. It's the Club Penguin Vietnam movie. And it might as well be, but they're just not. Sorry. Here, you can do this. I'm sorry, I keep going back before it happens. Anyways, they're not specifically connected. No inspiration there. Hold on. I'm hungry. Please forgive me, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm no longer hungry. Anyways, so let's get right into Penguin's Memory then. That was in Japan, and on top of that, it was because of the Centauri Beer Company. So the Centauri Beer Company is a company of beer. It also started in the 1800s. Now, their, advertising campaign to introduce the penguins, of which are blue. By the way, they're called the Papipo Penguins. This was a title given a little bit later on. Their names are Mike and Jill. They appeared in the early 80s. So 80s, after Tuxedo Sam, kind of crazy that the company was around for basically 100 years. They didn't start using these penguins until kind of 100 years later. Then they made a movie in 1985. You can find it on YouTube. It's crazy. You can find it on YouTube, right? Maybe that's the inspiration. I mean, the one thing that's interesting about these penguins, they appear in a lot of different advertisements various advertising, like hair products, makeup, anything you can think of afterwards, all the way up into the early 2000s. So there's a potential. We might be getting close as to why the penguins are blue. We don't know. Let's get right into the advertisements. So when we're thinking about so just to give an example, these Centauri bear penguins, they had a lot of advertisements aside from the movie. So advertisements would look like this, right? Try not to cry. By the way, I mean I cried for the first time. It's really hard for me. Look at that. This is a beer commercial. Do you feel inspired to drink beer now? Yeah! I want to drink and cry! Anyways, hey! Alright. Anyways, so that's Centauri beer. Anyways, this is Don Quixote. Don Quixote in the late 90s, it was a convenience store, kind of like your average like 7-Eleven or whatever. Now, they have a penguin that is clearly blue, I think. I don't know. What happened with them is back in the really late 90s, there was a guy, right? It was a very specific thing. Actually, no, let me read it for you.
Our penguin mascot, Don, stands for Don Quixote Penguin, the image of the character created by the special combination of a penguin, well matched to the midnight blue color, a red nightcap he always wears, and the moon as a symbol of lightning in the midnight towns. Our company stores were named after the hero in Miguel de Cervantes' novel, whose style corresponds to ourselves, defying the unfair restrictions and regularity, bravely and aggressively offering challenges to the conventional.
Okay, so what happened was, there was a guy, he was like 10 o'clock at night, right? He really was like banging on the doors of this poor convenience store, right? And the person who was running this convenience store was like, all right, we'll let you in. So afterwards, Don Quixote was just a brand, a convenience store, which has many products which you can buy yourself, like bags and totes and stuff. It's very fascinating. They, from that point onwards, decided to open up real late, so that's why they have a penguin. It seems kind of odd. On top of that, they just kind of have it. It's just kind of its own thing. It looks like King Dedede, but is that why the penguins are blue? I don't think so, because this is like 1998, right? What else we got? I bet you haven't heard of this one. Who's this? This is Echo Ice. What is Echo Ice? Okay, we're done with you. Alright, so this is Echo Ice. Echo Ice is a penguin, I think, a penguin girl. And she was from an advertising campaign in, I believe, 1999, basically just like the summer, I guess. She was a cute character. She has 2 official images, honestly, like not that much. She comes from an air conditioning company, which is, yeah, I know, right? Like, okay, we're going deep.
We're going deep into this rabbit hole here.
Hell yeah, super deep. Yeah.
We're gonna find out why the penguins are blue today.
So you have this character. She eventually appears in, Comic Cat, stuff like that. A bunch of conventions because she's so cute. Her advertising campaign didn't last that long at all. Literally just like 1999, and the company kind of pulled her like instantly. Air conditioning, Okay, let's get into something more popular. I don't know if you've ever heard of Nintendo before. But there's penguins, of which are blue. And I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of them. There are possibly 40 different games of which have blue penguins. And there's obviously there's not 40 different types of blue penguins. However, you got the Hooligan, you got the Bumpity. I think the penguins in Mario 64 is just called Penguin. You know what happens to the best of us? I mean, it was kind of an annoying penguin anyways, so. So when it comes to Nintendo, I was thinking to myself, I get a good answer here. I was thinking like maybe either there's a lot of people on Reddit talking about the connection, like, oh, I can see the connection between like this and that, right? You know how in like a lot of the early Super Mario music, right? Okay, we're going deep here. A lot of Super Mario music, we see a lot of threads saying, oh well, it's actually inspired by T-Square, which I would recommend everyone listen to. T-Square is a jazz fusion band from Japan in the 80s. There's a lot of threads saying like, oh, this is what the connection is. You can see, there's a lot of videos saying like, oh, you can see the clear-cut connection between this riff and that kind of thing.
There's no parallel for these penguins, of which are blue.
It's blowing my mind. It's making me go insane. I'm literally losing my mind. I'm putting the red threads everywhere. I'm trying to make the connections. I'm trying to have a brain blast. And nothing is telling me why the penguins are blue, right? There's obviously no interviews as to why the penguins are blue. There's nothing, no Reddit thread. There's just maybe one or two Reddit threads, I guess, that are saying like, oh, well, it's funny that they're usually blue, I guess. But no one's saying, well, I can see the connection between A and B. No one's saying why there's a connection between A and B. And then it gets worse. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay, hold your horses, okay? It's just Animal Crossing. There's a lot of colorful different, there's a lot of variety. There's literally a sheep that's like rainbow color. Shout out to my boy, by the way. There's, there's cats in every color. There's sheep in every color. There's all sorts of different characters and all sorts of different colors. I mean, you know how it goes. But isn't it strange? Don't you find it uncanny? Don't you find it silly? Why, the vast majority of these penguins are blue? I mean, really? I counted. I know it's hard for me to count, but from what I was able to count, 9 of them, and they're all on screen, and they're named too. Well, and they even have reference. There's even a reason why they're named the way they are, right? If you look at what's his face, the bottom left is Roald. Roald is actually based off of a Norwegian polar explorer, right? Isn't that fascinating? So I looked at the guy's picture, and it was in black and white, and it was not blue. So I don't know why. Look again, why is he blue? I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. Don't get me wrong. There's other penguins that are other colors, some of which are pink and stuff like that. And even the ones that are blue, some may argue that Gwen looks kind of purplish. Sprinkle looks, we have the great controversy of whether or not cyan is a shade of blue or green. We don't know. I don't know. But I can try to know, and I feel as if it's pretty close. So it's just odd, the vast majority, more so than the amounts of black penguins, right? The majority of penguins are blue, right? It's very strange. So then I thought to myself,
let's go for the white whale. What is my white whale? And it was him.
It was him. Maybe it was him. Okay, I'm going to take this down one notch to make sure that doesn't happen again. I'm sorry. Forgive me. So, King Dedede, right? Has to be him, right? There were interviews, right? And I'm looking at interviews, I'm looking at posts, I'm looking at wiki pages, and there's a very nice wiki page. It's very detailed. And it gives me interviews for like Kirby's, Kirby 64, you got all sorts of different interviews. You get interviews for Kirby's Dream Land, Nightmare Dreamland, everything you can think of. And here's the thing, Kirby's Forgotten Land.
There was nothing about why he was blue. This is what the narrator said. Looking outside into Alex's life, he could see that he spiraled in this moment. He had nightmares. He had cold sweats. Alex spiraled into insanity and was never the same again. It was like a cosmic horror that H.P. Lovecraft himself put on Alex.
And I was going insane. I was losing my marbles. I didn't have any marbles left. Any single interview I found for King Dedede, right? This has to be, there's such a wealth of information for King Dedede. Has to be him. Has to be him. Literally just explains, oh, we thought this King Dedede should have these sorts of shapes because it fits the narrative of the game. So I'm losing my mind. I'm having nightmares at this point.
where King DDD watches over me. And he says, "Hey there, Kirby. I'm not telling you why I'm blue, but I'm telling you everything else.
And I'm losing my brain. I don't know why. I hate this man. And this gets even worse, right? Let's talk about that penguin jump. So first of all, penguin jump's an amazing anime. It has to do with, there's a lot of people that suggest that it has to do with the 1995 Tokyo sarin gas attack. So super serious subject, right? I was surprised. I watched multiple video essays. It was amazing, fascinating, and there's a big connection to Night in the Galactic Railroad, which I think is playing at some point. I think it's playing at the convention here. Well, check your guide. Amazing movie, very fascinating. It's about the acceptance of death, by the way. So you have two cats. You have one named Campanella and Giovanni, right? In Penguin Jump, you have two brothers named Kamba and Shoma, right? So see here, they look like they have the red, they have the blue almost perfectly. They line up with the cats. Now the one thing that's interesting about this anime is that they have physical manifestations of penguins, right? Of their personality in the form of penguins. So when they're doing something, there's a penguin doing the same thing. So you would think, now mind you, every penguin has a slightly different design to allow you to see which penguins are what. So, you have one for Kamba, one for Shoma, you have one for there's a sister, by the way, her name is Hilari, she's wonderful. So you have a blue penguin for the kid with the blue hair, you have a blue penguin for the guy with red hair. And you have a blue penguin with the girl with, I guess, like chestnut brown hair. Why? And on top of that, this anime has everything to do with symbolism. There's just symbolism everywhere. There's even a quote. Kuniko Ikahara said this: "Penguins are misplaced creatures. They have wings but cannot fly. They have feet but are floppy on land, and they can swim but can't stay in water for very long. This is a good match for the top curl symbols." Where's the blue? Where's the blue? Where is the blue? Oh my goodness gracious! There's such an easy possibility that one penguin could be red, one penguin could be blue. We don't see it. We just don't see it. I don't get it. I don't know. I'm losing my mind. I'm sorry. So we never really, I'm sorry. You know what? I don't know if we're going to know why the penguins are blue. From what I have found, there are three main patterns though. Penguins that are blue in anime, games, advertisements, stuff that we've seen in this wonderful panel. So far, we have ones that look like Tuxedo Sam. We have ones that look like the Centauri beer penguins, like King DD. I feel like those so. We have ones that look like the penguin. That's the patterns. No interview directly states one is like the other. And now, to prove a point, the penguins that are not blue, the penguins of which are black, they often, not always, but they often look more realistic, and they often have their other reasons and stuff like that. In my opinion, maybe not always, but a lot of times, it just, So to close this, to get close to the end, there's theses. There is Cool Angel's thesis, if you will. Funny reference. There's not answers that I'm personally, maybe you guys are satisfied. If you're satisfied, that's wonderful. I'm not satisfied. First things first, it could have been Tuxedo Sam, right? He debuted in 1979, possible. There's a possibility, maybe, that people just got really inspired when they were in Tokyo Sea Life Park. The latest incarnation of it was back in the 80s, so that's definitely possible. However, the fairy penguin is a minority, of which there's a lot of other different types of, there's like 4 or 5 different types of penguins. Most of them are black. The fairy penguin is just one out of like 4-ish, 5-ish, that kind of thing. So it's hard to say there. There's the Centauri Beer Company, of which, it's definitely pervaded Japanese culture. The puppy penguins have definitely been around they've been around after the advertising campaign has been over. And there's Konami, right? Konami has plenty of times where they bring back Pentaro and Penta again and again and again. Maybe it's them. But it just feels inconclusive to me. I don't know.
So I hate to tell you this, but why are the penguins blue?
We just don't know. We just don't know. A moment of silence. Or a moment of laughter. A moment of radio. But that's the end. So, I'm Katsucon, I'm Alex. If you want to follow me, I work on art. I'm writing a book. It's about the zombie apocalypse. There's no penguins, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I have Discord. And if anyone has any questions, raise your hands.
Hi! I think you've left out one more theory. Your child theory. Think of the children.
You're right! I kind of went over that a little bit in the illustration.
Very small. But like, while talking, I looked up fairy penguins and how popular these cartoons from children, and it's super popular with specifically young children, for ages from 5 to 17 around. And I think because the fairy penguins are blue, they are out of the, 4 or 5 other penguins that are there, and they are a quote-unquote mythical color. So children are look more towards blue penguins. So your Remarkable Plushies, your Vietnam Penguin movie, and even Stamper, which is also a children's movie I watched when I was really little. That might be why Tuxedo Sam, King Dedede, all of them are blue.
And you know what? I really want to agree. I'm so close to agreeing. I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm sorry for leaving it out. You.
Blue is complementary, yellow is gold, which is deep, and it's being very good casting. A full text code from all the characters, strong association between the governments and people with gold.
That might be a good idea too. I'll definitely think about that. Yeah, it's awesome. This way.
Yes. So I just want to say it's a great panel.
Thank you.
No problem. So I noticed everyone in the town was trying to figure out all these things from blue. There are things really reason why it's not moving down. It's also communicating art and art. The art's just inspiring each other. It's the communication of art rather than words.
I looked in the interviews. That's the thing. I looked and tried to see if that's what they were kind of trying to say. I don't know. If that's your question, I tried looking at what they're writing. Like I tried looking in the minds of artists, but I just didn't see anything. I'm not sure.
You make me think of early Palm and Black Meat because they wear a lot of blue too.
That's definitely possible. I could see it. I know what you're talking about, like Vivian and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely see it. It's possible.
Because then you don't have to go and tie a black, a character completely in black, but then you have blue, which might be a super color, and thus spread it out. You also use it for other things, like in penguins, there's seas, you don't use it for, maybe it's just ice.
It could, yeah, that could be possible.
Very true, very black and white, that's the difference. But if you're gonna go with a color, like symbolism, which marketing usually does, that's, who knows? Okay.
All right, well, thank you everyone for coming. What do you mean? I'm sorry, he's the first. You know what? You know what? You got this. Who are you? Who? I might, actually. One sec.